Oh boy. Okay, so we last week we ended things crazy. We got to the end of the confrontation. Rena Keiichi cornered Shion, and Shion tried to get one last victory by convincing Keiichi to join her in the basement, where she was proceeding to begin torturing him. But the police caught up too soon because Rena was pretty quick on the uptake, and so she did one final switch and doomed Mion to fall in the pit. So now she's posing as Shion, who apparently is being held captive. So now we're going to get the story of how Shion vanishes or dies somehow and appears at Keiichi's house and stabs him. I wonder if we're gonna get into reason, because like even then at the time when that happened, knowing now like that switcheroo that happened, that it wasn't Mion but Shion who was there. Why? Why would she do that? That's the thing I don't understand. And maybe we're gonna get some idea of what she did after. Like, where did she end up after all that happened? Because that's very fascinating, isn't it? Huh. Yeah. I hadn't realized until just now that like that's a major question that I haven't seen answered yet. So yeah, I wonder if we're gonna get an after story. Well, like after story about where she goes after all this is done. If she just get away or does she finally get caught? I don't know. Heck, does she technically find Satoshi? No, I'm pretty sure Satoshi's dead. But like they kind of pointed out there at the end that she doesn't actually know Satoshi died. I mean, he probably did, but apparently there's so much going on that wasn't actually going on with the whole like the family, and like the Sonozaki's not actually being in control of the curse, even though they make it seem like they are. Oh man, if that's true, that's so much. I don't know. Anyway, let's jump into it, shall we? Let's see what horrible things happen now. June 1983. There's been a series of disappearances in Hinamizawa Village, Shishibone City, XX Prefecture. The suspect is Mion Sonozaki, something years old. Allegedly, she abducted and imprisoned and killed 5 Hinamizawan residents: Oryu Sonozaki, Shion Sonozaki, Keiichiro Kimiyoshi, Rika Furude, and Satoko Hyojo before June 29th and the 21st. Interesting. They list Shion as someone who was killed by her. But I thought she got rescued from there. So that's weird. Why is that in the report? Preliminary investigations on the incident were delayed at the time due to insufficient evidence, but by chance the case was solved rather abruptly. Okay, so this is like much more in the future. On the morning of the 22nd, a vehicle patrolling the Sonozaki property heard screams from inside and rushed in as an emergency measure. Yeah, they heard screams from inside because they were camped out around the property. They secured the suspect's missing younger sister, Shion Sonozaki, and her 2 missing classmates, Keiichi Maebara and Reina Ryugu. The suspect fled the scene. We found hair, pieces of skin, and blood of the four missing people: Oryu Sonozaki, Kiichiro Kimiyoshi, Rika Furude, and Satoko Hyojo, in the torture room that was discovered in the basement of the outbuilding of the Sonozaki family property. Supposedly, that was where they were killed. We concluded that the victims were tortured in that torture room. However, their remains have still not been found. Which is kind of odd, because I thought, well, we read chapter 2 that they did find the remains at the bottom of that well, right? According to one of her imprisoned classmates and classmates' advice, the bodies should be somewhere in the basement of the outbuilding where the torture took place. However, nothing has been uncovered as of yet, including the escape route the suspect took. Huh. Yeah, that feels very different from the ending of chapter 2, because I'm pretty sure they found the bodies of everybody. Except for maybe Mion. But I don't know. That's odd. The bodies should be somewhere. And who's this classmate? One of her imprisoned classmates' advice. Oh, maybe Rena. In addition, investigations continue regarding any possible connection to the series of mysterious deaths in recent years. but no evidence that Mion Sonozaki was involved, either directly or indirectly, has been found. None whatsoever, huh? There are still many unclear points as to the motive behind the incident, and those of the Sonozaki family and the residents of Hinamizawa have been extremely uncooperative in assisting us. We expect to require a long time to clarify them. The opinion of the local officer knowledgeable about the region is that this may have been a lynching, an intentional form of punishing sacrilegious acts carried out against the beliefs of the Hinamizawa village. It is clear that these incidents are particularly rooted in this region, and that the Prefecture Police Department has ordered a cautious investigation. We anticipate gaining valuable clues from the missing persons believed to have been imprisoned for the longest time, Shion Sonozaki, the suspect's younger sister. However, the incident has left such a serious mental after effects that she has not been in a state of mind to properly answer any questions about what she knows. The psychiatrist concluded that she is in a temporary state of shock, but as of today, she has yet to show any improvements. I was acting at first. What's interesting, because, like, I'm not crazy, right? This beginning of that whole thing, she abducted and imprisoned and killed. Oh, okay, maybe it was saying imprisoned and killed as in, like, either or. Not that they actually that she actually killed Shion. Although it's interesting that if that's the case, it didn't list Keiichi in here at all. Although he was imprisoned as well, technically. I don't know. I was acting at first. It was just an act to avoid being interrogated by the police. As it turned out, though, fake insanity can become real. You see, I couldn't bear it any longer. I continued to be haunted by the presence of Ryugu had talked about. Ryugu had talked about. It was so close that it could almost touch my back. It wasn't Satoshi-kun, and it wasn't a hallucination. It had become Shion's ghost. Shion didn't go to heaven after all. She was always by my side instead. Shion didn't like the fact that I was still alive when she wasn't. So she had decided to haunt me until she witnessed my death. Every night she whispered to me, telling me to die. I get it. I get it. I shouted at Shion in my back. Through my mouth, she shouted back at me. It must look odd to other people. They'd think I was arguing with myself. It's not fair. Why are you still living, sis? Die, die, die already. You said you'd die right after you killed me. I'm waiting. I'm waiting. It's so dark and cold in this well. It's cold. It hurts. It hurts. It hurts. I get it. I get it. Shut up. What exactly do you think, sis? You won't die in the way you want to. You're just running away. You're trying to survive even after you did all those horrible things. You'll never be forgiven. You're cursed. You're cursed. You're destined to die.
やかましいよ、シオン。亡霊のくせにやかましい、やかましい。おねえ、おねえ。
Oh, that's really, really bad. She's speaking in the actual voices, Shion and Mion, all at once.
クソ誰が消え失せやがれ。ミオンはずるい。ミオンだけずるい。姉妹はいつも一緒。死んでも一緒。だからミオンほら、迎えに来たんだよ。ミオン
Oh, that's just so confusing. It's Mion labeled talking to Mion. Bang, 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 bang. Shion banged on the door. Bam, 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 bam. That noise is too loud. It's cracking through my ears and my head will open. Shion's trying to break in. Oh, crap. All right, Shion, I get it. The perfect way for me to die is to be cursed to death by you, isn't it? But I won't be going so easily. Haha. I won't simply disappear. It wouldn't be fair if your beloved was left alive after all. Well, that explains it. I went out into the balcony to avoid Shion, who was on the other side of the door. If I jumped over the railing to the neighbor's apartment, I could reach the fire escape. Eat shoot, Shion. I leaned over the railing and jumped to the balcony next door. Then I rushed down the stairs, noiseless as a cat. That's how she left with the apartment door locked still. Shion was too stupid to realize I'd escaped. Yeah. Like, it's like not even like the creepy laugh. It's like a twisted evil cackle. It wouldn't take too long to get to Keiichi's house on a motorcycle. Shion must believe that I'm still in that room. She's so stupid. Yeah. Soon enough, I could see the Maebara mansion. I'd never seen it before, but I'd heard a great deal about it from Shion. Yeah, oh, look at that. Yeah, I'd never seen it before, but I'd heard a great deal about it from Shion. That's the proof I was looking for. That the times when Shion was doing stuff with Keiichi, it was Mion the whole time. Stupid name swapping is getting confusing, but like how Shion showed up with the bento box, how like that was just Mion, which is funny because I remember I was like, oh, this is just Mion, that was just Mion. Then I found out that there actually was a sister. Ah, fetch. She told me that Keiichi's room is on the second floor. I should wake him up. Throw a stone. I threw a couple stones at the window. Shortly thereafter, the light turned on and the window opened. I saw Keiichi there. The moment I saw him, my madness cooled off for a while. Even from here, I could tell that Keiichi was running down the stairs. He showed up quickly, with a doll in his hand. I felt depressed to see it. It was the doll he failed to give to Shion. It isn't fair after all, Shion. I'm so jealous, Keiichi-chan. I wanted to receive the doll from Satoshi-kun, too.
Mio!
お久しぶり。どう？元気にしてた？
Despite the burning and insanity within me, I spoke to him calmly. That's true. My body's controlled by the demon now. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here this late. Kihihi.
お前、こんなところをうろついてて大丈夫なのか？
本当はいけないよ。
それより、どうしたんだよ。こんな時間に。
He's insane for thinking that this was going to end any other way.
最後にお話ししたかったから。
Excuse me. Oh, I'm dying. Oh, the curse is coming for me. I felt horribly sleepy. Maybe it's more like fainting due to loss of blood. Yee. This sensation's proof that insanity is swallowing me.
私ね。もうここにはいられない。
大丈夫か？
Oh no, she's not.
どこか具合でも。
今日まで頑張ってきたけど。
Oh my
自分
gosh.
でわかるの。
She sounds so crazy.
もうダメ。もう限界。私のお迎えはもうすぐ後ろまで来てる。
They're about to come up behind me and take me away. I won't get to decide how I die. Shion won't allow me to. No wonder I dropped her down the well. It wasn't only her. None of the people I killed chose to die how they did. Considering that, debating how I'll die must seem a luxury concerned to the dead. Oh, wait a minute. I just had a weird thought. So, what's been chewing in the back of my mind till just now? Forgive me for this. This feels very far-fetched, but I gotta at least do a hear me out here. In my head, I've been chewing on it for a bit, and I've realized she threw the bodies into the well, right? But they said that they didn't find the bodies. They just found evidence that they were there in the torture room, which makes them think that they are dead. The thing is, they are dead. We know they are. But the tunnel, one end definitely goes off out further into the mountain, right? But the other end goes somewhere else. So wouldn't it be interesting? What if the bodies slide down that passageway and they end up somewhere else? What if they end up somewhere underneath that lake up in the mountains? The lake that releases a bunch of gas that kills everybody in Hinamizawa, right? So what if for the last 1,000 years, whenever the village has like gotten rid of somebody that they didn't like and they threw them down that well, the bodies all slid and piled underneath like the swamp or something, right? And eventually the gases from those bodies are what built up enough to erupt out and ended up killing everybody in the valley. So could the crisis of Hinamizawa that kills everybody be the result of the curse of the village, of all the bodies of the people who were killed and vanished away? That'd be really interesting, wouldn't it? I don't actually think that's what's happening, but like, part of me's trying to figure out where are the bodies, because everyone who got thrown down that well was definitely dead or died because of it. So where are they? Where would they go? Why wouldn't they be able to find them? Some reason they're gone.
大丈夫かよ。もう無理するな。あ、そうだ。俺ミオンに。
I'll kill him. I'll avenge Satoshi-kun's death. I'll avenge his death. This guy is Shion's beloved. I hate her. I'll kill her. I'll kill him and I'll teach her a lesson. Eat this, she. God! While gravity's pull spun me around me, I realized that I'd stabbed him with a knife. Dang. I made it before Shion killed me. I got back at her. Yeah! Take that, Shion! Keiichi rolled on the ground, clutching his stomach.
できた！全部できた！私が殺したやつはこれで全員！
It's so deranged. Yeah, I did it. Yeah, I did it. Yeah, I avenged your death, Satoshi-kun. Yeah. Don't you love me for it? Will you stroke my head? Yeah. Ugh. Yes. This was all a bad dream. After all, I was just in my room like always, suffering from nightmares of Shion. But where was I now? I had been standing in my apartment's fire escape alone. I could still recall that dream. Yeah, I had stepped out from the veranda. My front door was still locked, so I had to climb through the veranda again. Huh. Whoa. My foot had slipped, and then I felt a floating sensation. Oh, so she waited way back, and this is where they find her, like, they made it look like it was like she threw herself off the balcony. That's what happened. After that, a sharp and indescribable pain ran through my head. That incredible pain finally cleared the fog away from my nightmare. Dang. That's a sad sight. But she's dressed as Shion here. I guess she would have, wouldn't she? But that means she changed clothes to go and attack, like, Keiichi. God, so weird. I just slipped from the fire escape as I tried to return to my balcony. I fell onto the roof jutting out from the elevator hall 2 or 3 floors down. My room on the 8th floor. I wasn't expecting to be caught up here. When I fell, my head landed right in the concrete corner. I could feel both enormous pain and the warm blood dribbling out. I felt strangely calm. I could sense the demon, Shion's ghost, or my grudge. I felt just like a baby. The nothingness brought me peace. All my memories from when I was born and named Mion up until today came to my mind. I recalled memories of the time I'd spent with Satoshi-kun. Tears rolled down my cheeks. Where did I go wrong? Where in my life did I make the wrong choice? I do know just where it was and where and when that was, because Satoshi-kun reminded me. I'll leave Satoko to you. Sure, I believe you'll return. I'll be waiting for you. I'll take care of Satoko. I'll wait for you with her. We'll be good girls. You left your precious sister to me and nobody else. I guess I didn't get the significance of what you said. But I'll be fine this time. I love you, Satoshi-kun. Satoko, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, everybody. Shion, I'm really sorry. Could I repay everything with my death? No way, right? That's not how it should be done. I want Satoshi-kun to stroke my head one more time. I wanted to hear his mumble one more time. I knew it was too much to ask. And so, I had no other regrets. That brought an end to my apologies. I rolled over, spending myself falling to the ground, head first. I hoped my head would crack open, to take me to the hell I deserved. I was just a demon. I belonged in hell. Why was I born? Why did this world give birth to me? I shouldn't have been born. I wouldn't have had to suffer if I had been. What was the meaning of this meaningless life? If I wasn't born, nobody would have to suffer. Thank you for treating me kindly, even though I was like this. Thank you for teaching me love, even though I was like this. Even though I was like this. Even though... I'm really sorry, everybody. I really am. I'm sorry. If Satoshi-kun could give me another chance, I wouldn't make the same mistake again. Never again. Here comes the ground. Bye. I love you. Huh? I wish so many
今日までの
times.
出来事がすべて夢だったらいいのになって何度も思った。だから書いてみた。書いて夢になると信じて。ほら、よく漫画の中にあるじゃない？私の目の前に食べきれないほどのお菓子が積み上げてあって、それに手を伸ばし、まさに食らいつこうというところで、無粋に起こされて目を覚ますの。それは、とてつもなく長い夢で、私は1年以上も眠っていたことになる。そう。私は、監督の野球チームの試合の後、有頂天に駆け出して、赤信号の横断歩道に踊り出して、バイクに跳ねられてしまった。
Is this Satoshi?
それで、ずっと1年以上も意識が戻らなくて、ようやく目が覚めるの。
Oh my gosh, this is Satoshi?
まぶたを開けたとき、そこには病院の天井が飛び込んでくる。
Oh, never mind.
それから、
It's just her
ずっ
dream.
と看病しててくれたサトシくんが覗き込んでくれて、さすがにこれはできすぎか。でも、いいよね。そういうことにしても、いいよね。
I'm sorry that
生
I
ま
was
れてき
born.
て、ごめんなさい。
So freaking sad. Breakdown of all persons involved with or linked to the series of deaths in Hinamizawa. Now, last time this happened, people said that they pay attention to it. Tame Hyojo died via homicide blunt trauma, the village of July 20th, 1982, case closed. Satoshi Hyojo believed to have disappeared from the village June 24th, 1982, whereabouts unknown. Jiro Tomataka, believed to have committed suicide on June 19th, 1983. Death was that of Rika Furude on June 22nd, investigation ongoing. Mio Takano, death of strangulation in the mountains of Gifuji Prefecture, June 19, 1983. Corpse was found incinerated, investigation ongoing. Oryu Sonozaki, murdered by Shion Sonozaki on June 20th, 1983. Cause of death believed to be shock induced by stun gun. Violent abuse postpartum. Head shows signs of extreme laceration. Rika Furude, believed to have been murdered by Shion Sonozaki, June 22nd, 1983. Cause of death was shock due to extreme hemorrhaging caused by laceration to the throat. Death resembles that of Jiro Tomataka's on June 19th. Investigation ongoing. Kimiyoshi, Murdered by Shion Sonozaki, June 22nd, 1983. Cause of death was litigation, strangulation induced by restraints. Satoko Hyojo, murdered by Shion Sonozaki, June 22nd, 1983. That was a busy day. Cause of death, shock due to hemorrhaging induced by multiple penetration wounds. Mion Sonozaki, murdered by Shion Sonozaki, June 22nd, 1983. Cause of death, severe trauma due to impact after falling down a vertical tunnel. Keiichi Maribaro, stabbed by Shion Sonozaki on June 30th, 1983. Victim was severely injured but is recuperating in a hospital. Rana Ryugu, last accounted for in 2004, currently resides in Shushibon City. Kuroda Oishi, last accounted for in 2024, currently resides in Hokkaido. Tetsuya Kumanagi, last accounted for in 2024, currently resides in Shushibon City. Airi Kiyosoko, last accounted for in 2004, address unknown, probably dead. Tatsuya Kiyoshi Kasai, died of liver cancer in 2002. Ichio Mayabara, last accounted for in 2004, currently resides in Tokyo. Aiko Maibara, last accounted for in 2024, currently resides in Tokyo. Dakai Tomata, last accounted for in 2004, currently resides in Shushibon City. Suguru Okumura, last accounted for in 2004, currently resides in Tokyo. Rumiko Chie, last accounted for in 2004, currently resides in Tokyo. Kyoichi Kamada, last accounted for in 2004, currently resides in Tokyo. Teppei Hyojo, last accounted for in 2004, currently resides in Tokyo. Keiichi Maribaro died in Tokyo Hospital on July 3rd, 1983. Cause of death is acute heart failure. So he died from like that vision he had at the end of the thing. Shion Sonozaki died on June 30th, 1983. Cause of death is severe trauma due to impact after falling from a balcony of her apartment. The suspect for serial murders, which began on June 20th, 1983, fell to her death from the balcony of her apartment, which she hastily rented to conceal her identity. Following her death, police filed charges against her for the 5 murders, which began with Oryu Sonozaki. So the stuff that's interesting here is it implies that almost all these other people are still alive. Like the crisis of Hinamizawa didn't happen or hadn't happened yet when this was filed. That's what's interesting to me. Or is this a world where that didn't happen? So it's not technically the proper timeline, but a lot of these events do happen in the proper timeline. I'm not sure how that works exactly, but it's interesting. Very interesting. So I'm not sure where to place all of that, but it sounds like a very interesting story. And yeah, the end of it is that Keiichi dies. Well, hello.
そらレナ、机をくっつけろ。
今日はレナのお弁当はミートボールなんだよ。
What is this?
おお、そりゃいいね。おじさんもぜひいただくよ。ほらリカちゃん、机。くっつけるのですよ。ペター。残念なことにミートボールは私も大好物でございましたよ。皆さんに一口でも口に入るとは思わないことでしたよ。残念。そうはいかないです、さとこ。
This is actually a cute vision here. Imagining if Shion just came to school with us. That'd be nice.
明らかに野菜不足のさとこには特別にかぼちゃ弁当を用意させてもらいました。
うわ、そりゃいじめだぞシオン。
ふわあ、かぼちゃは嫌ですの。ほら、そのかぼちゃ嫌いはダメです。
Oh, this is a world where she did take care of Satoko.
かぼちゃはですね、育ち盛りのさとこは特に栄養に気を使わないといけないんですよ。私の目の黒いうちは変色は認めないので、その覚悟でお願いします。ほらほら、みんなもどうぞどうぞ。ほこほこのかぼちゃって甘くて美味しいんですよ。もにゅもにゅ。さとこ、これなら甘くて美味しいのですよ。
お、確かにこりゃいけるな。かぼちゃの甘みが嫌味なく、それでいて絶妙で。さとこ、お前は食うな、もったいない。
なんですって？かぼちゃは嫌いですけど、言い方が気に入りませんわ。そら言った言った。一口にガバッと言ってみなよ。ほらね、美味しいでしょ？まあ食べれなくもないですわね。当たり前です。さとこがかぼちゃ嫌いを克服できるように日夜研究してますので。さて、この調子で今年中にナス、ピーマン、アスパラガスと制覇していきましょう。
Yeah.
冗談はごめんですわ。私が沖宮の学校に転校しましたよ。ダメです。 サトシくんから頼まれている以上、健康管理は私の担当です。不摂生も許しませんから、そのつもりで。
シオンさん嫌い。かぼちゃ嫌。
Oh. Don't tempt me with this. This is too wholesome. Higurashi when they cry. Kai. The scenario jump mode has been unlocked. This game features scenario jump mode. You may replay any scene or scenario you've completed before from start on the menu of the title screen. The tips reading room has been unlocked. You can now read the tips you've obtained so far. To view them, select extra on the title of the menu, then pick the read all tips option. The staff room has been unlocked. There's a thank you message for the purchase of the game. Go there, select extra on the title menu, then pick the staff room option. A happy diary and Disowned. We reach an epiphany at the end of it all. Alright. So it's interesting, because it didn't give me those last two tips quite yet. I have to go hunt them down. Few tips. Happy Diary and Disowned. These two. Interesting. Look at that. Okay. A Happy Diary.
ええ。葛西氏が踏み込んだ時には、室内は無人でベランダへの窓が開きっぱなし。その時が飛び降り時刻です。それで、その真下の5階エレベーターフロアの屋根に一度落ちて脳震盪。そのしばらく後に横に転がって再落下。
This is a happy one?
葛西氏が飛び降りを疑って地上を調べた時に遺体が見つからなかったのは、この時点ではエレベーターフロアの屋根の上で混沌中だったからです。前原圭一が刺されたのはほぼ同じ頃。その頃には園崎シオンはすでに飛び降りていて、屋根の上で脳震盪中？
That's still very odd, isn't it?
違いますね。
Oh yeah, but the truth was
ベランダから抜け出して前原圭一を刺して、
she snuck out, stabbed him, got on the bike, rode back to town, was climbing back in when she fell. That's how that happened.
ベランダへまた戻るときに誤って落下じゃないかな。悪いけど周辺の部屋のベランダとかも調べ直してください。
おいさん、3番にお電話です。
はいはい、どちら様から？
佐藤と伝えればわかるとか、合言葉は論と言えと。
なもしもし。
Is this gonna be Satoshi, maybe?
ああ、佐藤さんですか。こっちへ電話ということはいい知らせでしょうね。
An informant got in contact with me. You were right all along. After all.
ありがとうございます。今度フラワーロードで一杯おごりますよ。
なんです今の電話。麻雀の誘いですか？
ビンゴ。園崎姉妹は逆なんです。
Oh.
ミオンがシオンでシオンがミオン。入れ墨入れるときに間違って逆にやっちゃって取り返しがつかなくなったらしい。
How do you figure that out?
だからこのノートのミオンとシオンは逆に読むんです。それでならサトシ君とシオンさん、いやミオンさん、ややこしいな。
Friggin' tell me about it.
の関係が理解できる。
ノートって先日の大石さん宛てと書かれて郵便ポストに投函されてたっていう買いノートのことですか？中身はめちゃくちゃで捜査撹乱の恐れありって言いませんでしたっけ？
Yeah, who sent him the notebook?
もちろん名前の入れ替えが分かったところで撹乱の域を出ませんがね。このノートどこまで信じていいのやら。もし本当ならフルデリカの死のあたりが怪しすぎるからな。
異常者の日記ですよ。読んでるとこっちまで変になりそうです。最後のページの生まれてきてごめんなさいなんて読んでるとこっちまで飛び降りたくなりますよ。
You didn't joke about that. She literally technically did jump out a window.
でも、幸せな日記じゃないですか。
幸せですか？
Yeah, I agree. Like, what are you talking about?
この日記だけで、サトシ君って名前、何回くらい出てくると思います？
Oh,
シオ
yeah.
ンさんは、本当にサトシ君のことが好きだったんだなって。その好きというのがね、若さゆえの勘違いでずれちゃって。
I guess that's a way to look at it. Never saw Oishi as a optimist. And then lastly, Disowned. This is like an alternate timeline.
ねえ、教えてよ母さん。
Oh, is that
鬼
her
ババとど
mom?
ういう喧嘩をしたわけ？
That's interesting. Have we never seen her before? I don't think we've ever seen a sprite for her mom. Interesting.
感動されるなんてよっぽどだったわけでしょ？
お前もくだらないことに興味が尽きないね。ま、そろそろ話してもわからない年じゃないか。実はね、父さんと結婚したいって言ったらね。
え？何それ？
私も当時はだいぶ社内生き方してて呆れられててね。
Like daughter, like mother.
連れてきた男が人気者だったわけでしょ？そりゃ大喧嘩よ。いい名付けは当主が決めるなんて言われて、そんなの知ったこっかい、こんなクソババア、この場で切り伏せたらって大立ち回りよ。
Oh my gosh.
互いに板の間の日本刀抜いてちゃんちゃんバラバラ。
Holy crap. I'm guessing that's hyperbole, because that sounds insane.
ひえ、鬼ババと盾を演じたわけ？母さんやるね。
まあね、母さんこう見えても若い頃は武闘派だし、互いに剣道有段だからそりゃド派手だったわよ。
Dang, maybe it was actually real.
周りはおろおろ。面白かった。
なるほどね。その騒ぎのせいで感動されたわけ？
そうよ、感動上等。遠慮なく感動もらって父さんと籍を入れたわよ。ま、けじめってことで爪を剥がされたけどね。
So yeah, it was very similar.
ほら、左手の爪だけいびつでしょ？
But this implies that the hag definitely wouldn't have got rid of Satoshi, because the idea being it would be the same route that she had her own daughter go on.
うわあ、それで鬼ババと母さんはずっと仲が悪いわけだね。
シオン、本当はね、そんなことないの。私と鬼ババ様は。
嘘だー。
鬼ババ様には面倒な世間体があるから
Have
ね。
to maintain the reputation.
一度でも感動した以上、甘くすると示しがつかないし。だから私も親類会議とかではおとなしく引っ込んでるけど、たまに遊びに行ってのんびりお茶とか飲んでるよ。
嘘だ
実はね、内緒よ。鬼ババ様もね、その昔けじめで爪を剥いだことあるんだってよ。
Interesting. She removed her fingernails in atonement long ago herself.
今度会ったら左手の爪をよく見てごらん。
That is interesting. Yeah.
ー。鬼ババは何をやったわけ？
Man, it really makes the Sonozakis feel way more human.
そうね。母さんは知らない。
まあ、その顔は知ってるな。教えてよ。
Detective, read all the tips in Miyakashi. All right. Now we have one more thing to do. Staff room. Oh. Look at that. This is interesting. Do you think the murder could be justified depending on the motive? Hi, this is Ryukushi07. He's the author. Thank you for playing Higurashi When They Cry, Kai, Chapter 5, Miyakashi. Although I depict many deaths in my work, I often ask myself a question. That question is there such a thing as a justifiable murder? In our world, murder is prosecuted to the degree of punishment varies depending on the motive and the circumstance. Having different degrees of punishment means that we are putting a value on the dead person's life. It's also interesting too because like your scale of murder is definitely a thing. Like, is it murder as in like you know, unlawfully going after somebody? It's like, obviously that's wrong, but what about when you're a soldier at war? Those people can be treated as heroes. Some scenes justify murder in Higurashi. By degrading the life of the victim in those scenes, the player can sympathize with the character more easily. The degree of sympathy would be different from person to person. The people who could sympathize probably felt catharsis, and the people who could disagree with the character might have felt uncomfortable. That's indicated by how opinions were polarized regarding Keiichi's actions in Higurashi. That was chapter 3. In Miyakashi, there's also a number of murders. But this time, the main character, Shion, tries to earn sympathy for each one of them. How do you feel? How much were you able to sympathize with her? Not by much. I think she took it far from get-go, and it only went downhill from there. If you couldn't sympathize with her at all, then please berate her as a crazy murderer. Okay, well, I don't think she was that. I think she had a lot of reasons for what she did. But, like, I think she jumped on the murder train real quick. If you sympathize with her at all, then please have mercy on her. If you sympathize with her almost entirely, then please have mercy on her. If you completely sympathize with her, then please let us berate both of you as crazy murderers. LOL. he's like, if you feel like she was on the right track, then we need to take a look at you. What about me? Well, that's a secret. I'd like to reverse my question this time. What kind of murderer could you sympathize with if you were to be killed? A murderer who doesn't care about people's lives? That'd be quite a regrettable death. It's extremely sad to be killed in denial of all your values. A murderer who begs for forgiveness in tears? That'd be quite regrettable too. They shouldn't kill you at all if they're begging for your forgiveness. So what kind of murderer could you sympathize with? One who truly had no other choice. I can sympathize with that. I can almost sympathize with people who were to kill because justice didn't seem to be served. But even then, that's a really tough one. Yeah. In the end, sympathy might just be a method for making the story more interesting. If you can sympathize, it's fun. If you can't sympathize, they're just crazy. We cannot put value on human life. It's a sin to even try doing so. A murder is a murder. Nothing more than that. Just hope everybody can live happily together. How does that sound? Would you agree to that? If you wouldn't. Well, I mean, I'd like to think we could all just live together, but I also know that humans are human, and that means that there's going to be flaws, there's going to be conflict, there's going to be people who can't stand each other. It'd be great if that didn't devolve into murder, but I also think that's an unreasonable expectation based on our history. Thank you very much for playing Higurashi When They Cry, Kai, Chapter 5, Miyakashi. I can only bring out this 5th episode thanks to all of your support. Higurashi will only get more intense as it approaches the finale. More intense? Nothing would make me happier than if you continued reading the chapters to come. The next chapter will be titled Sumi Horoboshi. Really, I'm rather fortunate if you've enjoyed even a little. Thank you again for playing. I hope this has brought a little color to your life. It has. 07th expansion, Ryukishi 07. Interesting. So are we not going to have the whole like characters chatting about the events of the game afterwards? And that it's going to be that instead. That was a lot shorter. The Miyakashi staff room had a chat with Ryukishi 07. All right. So, I guess that must be it then. Dang. Okay. Well, I do suppose there's one last thing we should do.
Kei-chanの若い悲鳴をたっぷりと楽しみな!
This. We can see what this bad end was. That's where we're going to end things. So then I turned around to face Keiichi as the way we progressed on the story as it was intended. But what's the what if that this game likes to explore? At that time I became aware of Keiichi's gaze.
いい加減にしろ。
Keiichi's growl resounded from the pit of his stomach. What a delightful sound. It was like he wanted to rip me apart.
ようやくお目覚め？私、さっき嘘をついたね。シオンを一番むごたらしく殺してやろうと思って閉じ込めておいたけど、まだ思いつかないって言ったやつ。あれが嘘。
Of course I was. I smiled menacingly as I lay out huge nails and hammers specially made for the nail table.
あの子に自分のせいで死ぬ大勢の人の悲鳴をたっぷりと聞かせて、からなかなかセンスいいでしょ。
お前は誰だ？
は？ミオンでしょ？園崎ミオン。恐怖で頭が変になっちゃった？
違うな。お前が園崎ミオンであるはずがない。
My hand stopped dead in its tracks. Keiichi? Shoot. I decided it would be too late once we reached Shion's cell, but the name guessing game is already over. Oh well, whatever. Bring it on. I'll listen to you. This is your last chance.
へえ。じゃあ、私がミオンじゃなかったら、私は誰なわけ？
Come on, Kei-chan. Guess who I am. Try and shave me on the girl you fell in love with you. And then I hear it. Most definitely heard it. Keiichi's mouth trembled as he spoke the words, yet his eyes shone with strong conviction. And he spoke the truth.
シオンだな。
Yeah! Wow. You're right. You actually won. You're amazing, Kei-chan. A strange feeling fills my chest as I shiver. I had convinced myself there's no way he could guess. But he did, and I couldn't help feeling a bit surprised. This Keiichi had yet again pierced through my disguise.
お前はミオンじゃない。さっきまで一緒だったミオンを返せ。
Who are you?
え？
You aren't Mion, right?
え？だから私、ミオン。
No, that's not it. That wasn't what I meant. You aren't Mion.
どうして私がお姉じゃないって思うんですか？
I don't know, just a feeling. In my mind, memories of that time Keiichi recognized me at the toy store had been revived. Yes. Even back then, Keiichi could tell that I wasn't my sister Shion. I had feigned composure and offered to come back with a straight face, but on the inside I was shook. We were both capable of becoming Mion or Shion, but because I was the real Mion and was only Shion legally on paper, reversing the roles was even more easy for me. Our tones of speech, quirks, and even our auras, we all had mastered each other's habits so perfectly, even our own parents were unable to tell us apart. In fact, wasn't it exceptionally sharp Rena not able to figure out I wasn't her best friend Mion after all, despite being so close? So why? Had this Keiichi actually seen through my disguise twice?
どうして私がお姉じゃないって思うんですか？
My ears picked up, eager to hear the answer. Keiichi's reply was a soft murmur like an insect's whisper as he gasped for breath in pain. His voice was so quiet it was nearly inaudible, but I could almost recognize the words on his lips. Yes, just a feeling, he says.
へえ。
Yet again, I was just a feeling. Didn't he say the exact same thing to me at the time at the toy store? How nice, what a splendid answer. You'd think why my sister of all people fell in love with him? However, no, rather it was exactly because of this. Along with my raving madness, the blood that was simmering in my veins until just now rapidly began to churn and coagulate. It was as if to describe it felt like stagnant muddy water flowing through a gutter. Even now, it was all so hilarious I could fall over laughing, but I didn't smile. On the contrary, my face was vacant and austere, like a non-mask of frigid ice. Then, the darkness seeped into the innermost depths of my mind, and I was already parting with my self-restraint as a human being. I reached out and touched Keiichi's hair, matted with sweat and caked with blood. Keiichi whips his head away at once in disgust, as if he were staving off a housefly, and glares at me defiantly.
触るな！ この鬼め返せミオンを返せよ俺の最高の友人だったミオンを返せ
Having lost liberty over his whole body, he continued to howl and cry as if he were spewing blood. I was supposed to have sold my soul to the devil and become a demon, but faced with such a bitter rejection, I felt the crumbled remains of my emotions stir within me. Munch, crunch, munch, crunch, munch, crunch. My throat begins to itch. The crooks of my elbows, my wrists, and every other joint in my body begins to tingle and prickle, and I feel irrationally restless. The more restlessness and irritation pile up, the more squalling, whimpering person beside me felt bothersome, revolting, so awful I could slaughter him right away. To be frank, until just now, I had no intention of killing Keiichi. I was truly ready to spare at least his life if he guessed the right answer. That was the rule I had decided upon. Okay, I'll admit it. Just like Shion, I also had fallen in love with Keiichi. He was incredibly silly and good-natured, unbelievably warm-hearted and gentle. Talking to him made me feel content. Besides, I even sympathized with him. Unlike the lot I'd dealt with so far, Keiichi was indeed just a victim, caught up in my selfish revenge drama. Now that my revenge against the Sonozaki family was almost complete, I didn't mind saving him. That may sound too convenient, but perhaps the human side of me that was fond of Keiichi wanted to save him in order to seek his forgiveness for my actions. But I've changed my mind. Having witnessed Keiichi guess the right answer before my very eyes, his heart was suffused with the stinging, gaping, overpowering darkness as if it was freezing over. Why was Shion alone able to meet such a wonderful person? Satoshi-kun could only make a vague distinction between me and Shion. Satoshi-kun abandoned me and ran away. However, this Keiichi trusted Shion. He's defending Shion, with whom he values as his best friend, by seeing through my lies. And as a result, he gave up on me. Detestable, maddening, despicable, enviable. So much so I want to kill them. That's right, the moment he defended Shion, he became one of them. He's equally guilty, you lowly scum. I despise you, 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 you piece of crap. Munch, crunch, munch, crunch, munch, crunch. Ah, what a nuisance. Shion's screams coming from the corner of the chamber were enjoyable before, but now they felt unbearably noisy and pissed me off. How about I just get rid of Shion first? I wanted to kill her after she had the most exquisite taste of anguish and terror, but now I could barely suppress the indiscriminate urge to slaughter welling up within me. Keiichi was relentlessly yelling his protest towards me. His throat closed up eventually as he gasped for breath, hoarsely continuing to demand Mion's return.
ケイちゃん、メイドの土産なんて気の利いたものじゃないけれど、どうしても知りたがっているようだから、一つだけ教えてあげるよ。私の中に鬼が宿ったのはずいぶん前。その鬼は、私を蝕み、強行に駆り立てようとした。だけれど、私はそれを理性で押さえつけた。鬼はそれで収まり、私はその鬼はどこかへ行ってしまったんだと思い込んでいた。でも、本当は違った。私の中から出て行ったんじゃなく、私の中で眠っていただけだったの。
Yes. When I learned about Satoshi-kun's disappearance, my ailing heart crammed itself with rage and to compensate for the despair. But that was the limit of my insanity. I would never have snapped. Time had healed me, and my memories of Satoshi-kun were neatly wrapped up and pushed into the back of my mind.
その鬼は、ある小さなことをきっかけに、また目覚めてしまった。それは、何に原因があったと思う？
It really was the smallest of smallest things.
鬼の私が教えるのも変だけれど、あんたが、すべておかしくしてしまった元凶。
A tear rolled down my cheek. That's right. Back then, if you hadn't given that doll to Mion, none of this would have happened.
ケイちゃんには理解できないだろうね。理解できなくて当然。だけどね、そこからドミノ倒しみたいに、パタパタパタと、いろんなものが倒れ始めて、はじめの小さな一つを倒したあなたに自覚がないのは当然だろうけど、あなたが元凶なの。
I clicked early, sorry. Back then, if Keiichi hadn't shown any affection, Shion wouldn't have been overjoyed. She wouldn't have been overjoyed and cheerfully boasted about him to me. As I was listening to her, I was reminded of Satoshi-kun. I became jealous of her for having someone she loved so close to her. That was very small jealousy, but I had awoken the demon who was sleeping inside of me. After that, just let the demon take over. The demon fed upon the copious amounts of sadness I held for Satoshi-kun, and in return it committed heinous acts that Satoshi-kun himself would never be happy with, all in the name of avenging him. And now the horrific events that followed were inviting me to the realm of demons that had no return.
そんな嘘だろ。
自覚がないのは当然。でも、紛れもなく元凶なのはケイちゃん。
That's so mean. Back then, if you hadn't chosen to give up the doll to Mion, I couldn't have arrived at a distant future. No, that wasn't right. Wouldn't pinpoint Keiichi's small action at the beginning be the height of transferring blame? I was implying such a silly thing had awoken a demon inside me. Even without Keiichi's act, I would have awoken anyway. At the very end of the day, it was all my fault. I didn't fight the demon, I allowed it to reside in my soul, and I readily offered it to my heart. Keiichi didn't hide his tears. He was pouring down his cheeks. Dang. Maybe he was crying in my place, as I was not free to do so, having chosen to become a tearless demon. That is why I must go on as a demon. There was no room for human emotions or hesitation anymore. And then, munch crunch, munch crunch, munch crunch, snap. Shion's wail is rasping the silk teared apart along with my screams of ecstasy. The last thing I heard were those everlasting reverberations. So this is the bad end, huh? 'Cause she snaps and kills him when he catches her. Interesting. June 1983. Case of serial disappearances occurred in Hinamizawa Village, Shishabun City. Suspect is Shion Sonozaki. Allegedly, she abducted, imprisoned, and killed 4 Hinamizawa residents, Oryu Sonozaki, Keiichi Kiichiro Kimiyoshi, Rika Furude, and Satoko Hyojo between the June 19th and the 21st. Preliminary investigation into the incident was delayed at the time due to insufficient evidence, but by chance, the case was solved rather abruptly. On the morning of the 22nd, a patrol vehicle stationed beside Sonozaki Mansion heard screams within, personnel infiltrated premises, and an emergency measure. Suspect's missing elder sister, Mion Sonozaki, and 2 of her classmates, Keiichi Maribara and Rana Ryuga, were taken into custody. However, Keiichi Maribara had previously been lured into the crime scene and sustained stab wounds perpetrated by the suspect. He was immediately transferred to an emergency unit, but they were diagnosed as a minor injury. Having been the one with the utmost opportunity to engage in conversation with the suspect until the very end, he will be subjected to interrogation once he's recovered from the shock. Furthermore, the apprehended suspect was found collapsed at the place approximately 2 meters away from where Keiichi Maribara was restrained, and suspect scratch wounds on her throat. Oh, and sustained scratch wounds on her throat. She was also transferred to an emergency facility, but was pronounced dead at 13:48 on the 22nd. Wait a minute. It's like she got injected with that serum. That might be very interesting there, because remember I was talking about the serum I thought might be tied to the area, it might have something to do with people's bloodlines, it might have something to do with like a mushroom or something on the mountain, right? But now she like kind of goes fully crazy and she basically does that attack on herself, but she didn't get injected with anything, so why would she do that? The official autopsy determined the immediate cause of death was hemorrhagic shock due to excessive blood loss. Hair, pieces of skin, and blood of the 4 missing people, Oryu Sonozaki, Kiichiro Kimiyoshi, Rika Furude, and Satoko Hyojo, were recovered from the hidden chamber that was discovered in the outbuilding basement of the Sonozaki family property, where they were supposedly killed. It was concluded the victims were assaulted in that hidden chamber. The victims' bodies were discovered at the bottom of the old well, as per the testimony of the victim, Mion Sonozaki. Yeah, so this one, they did find the bodies, but they didn't in the other one. In addition, investigations continue into any possible connection of the series of mysterious deaths in recent years, but no evidence of Shion Sonozaki's direct or indirect involvement has been found. There are still many obscurities to the motive behind the incident, and due to extreme non-cooperation from the Sonozaki family, the residents of Hinamizawa, a large amount of time will be required to clarify matters on this front. The local police who are familiar with the region offer they made the internal lynching incident, punishment of scapegoats, carried out against Hinamizawa against religious belief. It's been established the incident is unique and rooted in a region community beliefs. A cautious investigation has been ordered by the prefecture police. We expect to gain valuable hints from the missing person of the suspect's sister, Miyazo Ozaki, who is under confinement for the longest time period. But it was observed that she had sustained severe mental trauma from the incident, and her inquiry had been postponed in favor of psychological and physical recovery. According to her primary care physician, although her condition is fairly serious, there's a strong prospect of recovery, and she is at present undergoing rehabilitation with support from her close friends. Several weeks have passed since then. This is like a whole other thing. I didn't know it was going to be this big. After that incident, I was rescued by Oishi-san and his team, who Rena had summoned. I had no other after effects aside from my consciousness that had been wiped white. If I were to have any at all, it would have been the deep scars that had been left inside my heart. As I was being examined at the hospital, I was subjected to various queries from Oishi-san. I tried to answer him with what little I knew, but I had no idea if I met his expectations, and neither did I bear any responsibility to do so. From what I heard, Shion had already lost too much blood by the time the police had arrived, and she had stopped breathing. They urgently called for an ambulance and took her to a clinic, but there was barely any time for first aid, and she took her last breath. The silver lining was that Mion, who'd been captive in her cell, was safe and taken into custody by the police. Up until the moment I lost consciousness, I was afraid that Shion may fly into a rage and murder Mion, but I was all just glad that we managed to avoid the worst-case scenario. Only when Mion was rescued, she was emaciated and had sustained severe psychological trauma. Apparently, at the time of her rescue, she had been completely unable to respond to the police's questions. Right now, Mion is admitted to a large hospital in the vicinity and undergoing treatment for her psychological and physical injuries. In the beginning, when Rena and I went to visit, her eyes were downcast in desolation and she looked completely worn out. It was a horrible state to be in. But despite it all, as of late, she's on her way to recovery, finally well enough to show us a few smiles. Of course, we had been careful not to bring up Satoko or Rika-chan, especially Shion. The police later conducted an on-site investigation of the Sonozaki House underground storehouse several days after the incident took place. Particularly, the well inside which Satoko and Rika-chan's bodies were disposed of by Shion was carefully surveyed in the prefecture forensic investigators, and true to Shion's testimony, the girls were discovered. Apparently, sediment had accumulated at the bottom of the well, and hence the discovery had taken several days. Okay, gotcha. That makes sense. Along with Satoko, the other victim's skeletal remains were several years and even several decades old were found, but it's not like I would know much about that. Even I was once summoned back to the place to assist with the crime scene investigation, but I didn't really help them find anything important. The Sonozaki family in Okonomiya, in other words, Mion and Shion's parents, came home every day several times along with many of their followers to formally apologize. And no matter how much my parents refused, they kept piling up banknotes worth millions of yen as compensation. And once that money had piled up and reached a certain amount, on the same day there came an envelope with a letter instead. I have no idea what was written in that letter. But my parents had discussed among themselves for 2 nights straight without consulting me and decided we'd move away from Hinamizawa. They basically like, hey, take the money and leave and never come back.
そっか。引っ越しちゃうんだね。
This is a crazy alternate timeline.
いつ？
来月の終わり。hinamizawaには結局、半年も居つかなかったことになるな。
寂しくなるね。きっとみーちゃんも悲しむよ。
悪い。ミオンにも、正直話すべきか、迷ってる。
Once Rena had heard me say that, she strongly insisted I had to tell her no matter what.
確かに、今みーちゃんにそれを告げるのは酷なのかもしれない。でも、ケイイチくんが黙っていなくなっちゃう方が、きっとみーちゃんは辛いと思う。
That's true.
だから、一緒に話しに行こう。
I can see why you would say that this ending would take you away from like what was going on, because this is way more than I expected.
ああ、そうだな。
Hey, there she is.
そっか、ケイちゃん、Hinamizawaからいなくなっちゃうんだ。
Even though she had heard it from me, Mion whispered those words sadly, but she didn't seem surprised. Surely she'd mentally prepared herself for the outcome somewhere inside her heart.
すまん。けど俺、いつかhinamizawaに戻ってくるつもりだ。約束する。
いいよ、無理しなくても。ここに来ても、きっとケイちゃんにいいことなんて何もないんだから。
みーちゃん。
Both Rena and I wanted to say it wasn't so, but after such a tragic incident, what verbal consolation could we offer that would help to Mion, who had suffered a much greater pain than we ever had? And so we just stood there, unable to say anything, just wallow in silence.
私も東京に行こうかな。
え？
来週退院できるらしいんだけど、ここにいてもいいことあんまりないし。
I mean, she's actually kind of got a point there. Like, can she even be ahead of the family anymore?
東京でなくても、どこか遠く、私のことも、Hinamizawaのことも知らない土地に行きたい。やり直せるなんて、都合のいいことは考えてないけど。
Yeah, can't blame
もう
you.
疲れちゃった。
I bet.
全部、投げ出したいよ。
ミオン。
Mion had been forced to carry the name of the next head of the Sonozaki family and the representative of the three great families, all due to a small misunderstanding. Despite feeling uncertain and weary about her unplanned responsibilities, she had nevertheless been earnest and given it all to fulfill her duties. But to think of all of it had concluded in such a manner. It was such a tremendous loss that it's almost a surprise she hadn't completely lost her mind. Who can really blame Mion anymore for making such a faint-hearted remark? And so I wanted to devote even a little bit of my remaining time here for her.
そうだな、ミオン。一緒にどこか行くか。
え？どこへ？
決まってるだろ。旅行だよ。俺がここにいられる期間はもうあまりないけど、だったらせめて少しでもいい思い出を取り返しておかないとな。東京はちょっと遠いけど、大きな町とかに足を伸ばしてうまい飯とか買い物とかさ。どうだ？
どうって言われても。
それとってもいいと思うな。行っておいでよ、みーちゃん。ね。
けど、レナ、一緒に来てくれないの？
After hearing that, even I grow puzzled. Hadn't I suggested all three of us hang out together?
だって、レナは馬になんて蹴られたくないもん。
Oh, I see how this is.
だから、二人っきりでどうぞ。
She's oddly supportive.
あ、お土産買ってきてくれると嬉しいな。はう
Mion's like, oh my gosh! Boom, Mion blushes vigorously. I was slow to react because I didn't understand what Rena was getting at, but seeing Mion's face imbued with color after a long time, my heart grew faster for a moment. No, it wasn't what I implied, when I suggested the idea, but depending on the point of view, wouldn't this be an invitation to a date?
いかん。ちょっと調子に乗りすぎたかも。
Why are you so stupid? Indeed, after seeing it that way, I was overcome with embarrassment, but there's no way I could back out after coming this far. God, this is all for Mion's shake. Pull yourself together, Keiichi Baribara.
どうだ、ミオン。あ、もちろん医者と親御さんにはちゃんと了解を取るつもりだぜ。あんまり無理はさせないつもりだから考えておいてくれよ。
わかった。
Is this the closest thing to an actual happy ending we're gonna ever get in this frickin' series?
考えておく。ね。
はうみーちゃんが久々に可愛いよ。嬉しいな、嬉しいな。はうはうはう
She's super on board. After that, we spent the day talking about harmless stuff that happened to school or our neighborhood until it was evening. Felt like Mion had regained some of her spirit and acted a bit like she used to, so I was happy. After a few days, Mion had contacted me to say she was okay with my plan. After spending a few more days convincing my folks that Mion's parents, we set off on a day trip to a metropolis at one of those bullet train stations.
うわー、しばらく見ないうちに、ここってすごく大きくなったんだね。
As soon as she stepped out of the station, Mion set her eyes on the scenery sprawling with people and cars. She shared her feelings of excitement as she looked around admiringly. From what I'd heard, unless it's very important business, Mion rarely gets to leave the village, let alone come out to a big city like this. Because of that, everything she saw looked fresh and fascinating to her, and she pranced around merrily, almost like a child.
ねえねえ、ケイちゃん、これからどこに行くの？
そうだな。ミオンの好みから考えて、あそこはどうだ？
What is it, manga? The place I pointed to, when I checked on advance, was a massively beautifully decorated game arcade towering over corner station of the shopping square. Aww.
なかなか盛大に遊び回ったな。
面白かった。あんなにゲームで遊んだの、本当に久しぶりだよ。
As I sat down on the bench, Mion gleefully draining her can of juice with a huge smile. That expression was unlike the gloomy one Mion had worn in the hospital. Next to me was the Mion I knew well. Earlier, we'd had a blast, vowing to conquer all the game consoles in the vicinity and make quite a ruckus, without caring about the people watching. Mion was enjoying herself playing on console she wasn't used to and had gone on a rampage, laughing out loud, getting worked up, and challenging me to matches. Although I couldn't help think about what ifs as I was playing with her. About how much fun it would have been if only it weren't just the two of us, but also Rena, Satsuko, and Rika-chan as well. I'm sure Mion must have been thinking the same thing, which is also why I outdid myself, making so much noise trying to battle the loneliness when I had realized.
Na, Mion.
何ケイちゃん
With faint drops of sweat coating her forehead, Mion turned to face me with a broad smile. Mion's cheerfulness was most likely just her being considerate toward me for having brought her here. If that were so, I needed to do the same for her.
お前、全部初めてって言ってたけど、それ本当か？初プレイで2台もハイスコアに名前入れるなんて、とんでもない実力だぜ。
ちっちっち4台の間違いだよケイちゃん。こういうのはセンスと勘、そして動体視力がものを言うのさ。普段の鍛錬を怠らなかった成果だよ。むしろケイちゃんはアドバンテージをひっくり返されたことを恥と思うべきだね。
おいおい、ちょっと待てよ。エアホッケーの時とか、あれ何？なんて後ろを指さして、顔を向けた瞬間打ち込んできたのは反則だろ？
Of course, she plays dirty.
まったく、容赦のないやつだぜ。
勝てば官軍、負ければ賊軍だよ。
For the time being, it's alright if her well-being is a front. All I hope for is that someday this becomes real and she recovers her old cheerful self.
いやいや、それにしてもゲーセンも雰囲気が変わったよな。少し前ならタバコ臭くて暗いイメージだったけど、家族連れで遊びに来る人も結構いたからちょっと驚いたぜ。
そうだね。やっぱたまにはこういうのも楽しいよね。あ、今何時ぐらい
？5時くらいかな。
ああ、じゃあ夕食まであと少しだね。どこかで食べて帰る？
そうだな。ファーストフードでハンバーガーなんてどうだ？
Oh, come on.
おお、いいね。あ、その前にちょっと失礼。
Mion said that and stood up from the bench. I found it odd for a minute, but then I understood her intention and...
店にもトイレはあるぞ。
Shut up! Instead of reply, I had empty cans thrown at me. Mion stuck her tongue out at me and left in a hurry, and after I watched her retreating figure, I plopped back down on the bench and looked up at the sky. The sky was pure blue, crystal clear. It felt amazing. Everything seemed to be glowing, bathed in a brilliant summer sun. It was a good thing we came here. Mion also seemed to show signs of recovery.
そうだな。なんなら今度はいっそ東京にでも誘ってみるか。
It would be cheaper if she stayed at our new place there, but I feel like our parents may be concerned for a while. We still needed some more time to go back to how it was.
そうなると泊まる場所も探しておかないとな。あとは。
Why, hello there. Oh, is this gonna be Satoshi?
こんにちは。
I knew it. Huh?
いやー、ごめんケイちゃん。トイレ人いっぱいでさ。
Uh-oh. I'm not sure I like where this is going.
あ、結構待たせちゃったみたいだから飲み物買ってきた。どっちがいい？あれ、ケイちゃん寝ちゃったの？もう、しょうがないな。女の子とのデート中に居眠りなんて、エチケット違反だよ。
Oh no.
ケイちゃん？もう、いつまで寝てるんだよ。ほら、起きて。ケイちゃん。
Oh, fetch.
は？
How? 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 Bad end. Dang, so who got him? Who got him? Who was it? Dang. That's interesting. Alright. Well, I suppose that just leaves us here. Thank you so much for joining me. We're at the end. Guess next we're starting chapter 6? Yeah, I'll make sure it's all checked out and everything. But yeah, we'll get into that, so that'll be good. Man, what a roller coaster. I don't know. Like, some stuff fundamentally changed in this one compared to the last one. Like, they didn't have, like, the cast members talking again. It was, like, kind of like a personal letter from the writer, which is an interesting choice. That alternate ending was also like a completely different side story, which I wasn't expecting at all. It's very interesting. Very interesting. And then, like, again, the thing is, I like the revelations that were in here, like, how canon are they? I feel like the game's teaching me to just not trust anything anymore. But the big one, the really big one, besides filling in gaps of, like, some of the stuff that's going on and basically revealing to us in all the other routes that around the time of the Watanagashi, it's probably Shion who we see, not Mion, basically the whole time. Regardless of that, we also have this other problem here, where apparently it's canonized that the Sonozakis don't actually know how the curse system works at all. They, like, pretend they know to keep the appearances up, but the curse system is doing its own thing. So when Rika says it's been decided by who? Because even she, at the end of chapter, like, 4? Yeah. She sounded sad that she was going to die too, right? Like, it was like decided that she would die, and she didn't want that. So it doesn't seem like Rika was the one making that choice either. So who made those decisions, and why? Maybe Kimiyoshi, the other family member, the third family, the one we know the least about. Maybe that's where the secret lies. I don't know. We'll have to see. Anyway, thank you all so much for joining me today. Thank you so much for being a part of the channel, for being a part of this experience, and I'm excited to see more of it with you all. So thank you for your time. I look forward to hearing your comments on this one, and yeah, we'll break out the next chapter next time. So I hope you look forward to that, and we continue to march our way towards the ending of Higurashi. But until the next video you're watching me, I have to see me in next. I'll see you there. I just dumped my water. Okay. See you guys.